Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 66. Torpedo bats, Will Smith is back, mind the game, and a really bad tweet. So guys, in this week's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, we have one of those true full-on roundup weeks where I'm going to be dabbling in a bunch of different topics, but of course it's going to be a lot of fun, it's going to be inspiring, it's going to be insightful, and interesting. At least I hope it is. On tap for today, we have the torpedo bats in baseball. They're like the Yankees have been using it, and they've been at the center of the whole controversy. And should these be banned for giving my favorite team, the Yankees, an unfair advantage?
I'm banned! You're banned.
I also have some super powerful Will Smith clips, who say what you want about him, but he does give a ton of powerful wisdom, and says a lot of really good things, in my opinion. And also his first album in 20 years came out this past week, which I personally happen to like a lot, but like maybe I'm in the minority. I also want to talk about a really bad tweet that I saw this past week coming from someone who a lot of times I do actually tend to agree with a lot, in Jason Whitlock, but he had a horrible tweet where he said like, all single people are selfish, which is absolutely ridiculous to say that.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
So I have some thoughts on that. And to finish things off, I want to talk a bit about the whole Mind the Game podcast return this past week, and a powerful takeaway that I had from the first episode. So we have all that and more, so without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys know it, must mean now subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All links pretty straight on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JaredRyanWeiss.com. Also, I'm pretty sure by the time this video comes out, the Fight Through with Jared Weiss t-shirt line should be up and ready to go by then. So be sure to check that out too. I have some really cool shirts on there. Any support at all is very much appreciated. So let's dive deeper now. So the first topic I want to cover is, I saw a video that came up on my feed the other day, and I didn't save it because I actually initially dismissed it as nonsense, but after thinking about it for a bit, there is some truth to it. So the video said to have better mental health, you should delete Instagram and just stick to TikTok. Now, while I'm not for any blanket statements, and I don't think you have to delete your Instagram,
I've had enough. I am marching it.
And as I'm always saying, it's about using these apps intentionally and following positive accounts or following people who inspire you. However, this actually brought up an interesting thought, which is, how do I feel after getting off Instagram as opposed to getting off TikTok? So for whatever reason, whether it's the algorithm or people are just more vulnerable. Now me personally, I post mostly the same things on all platforms, aside from maybe a few different stories or reposts here and there. But I know it's like TikTok at least makes you feel like, oh, someone out there gets me, or is relatable to me. Because there's so many people out there who it's like, oh, this person feels exactly the same way I do.
Exactly as I do.
And I generally find the experience that way more on TikTok as opposed to any other platform. Which is very odd because initially, I, just like so many others out there who don't use TikTok, thought like it was all stupid nonsense and pointless dances. But now Instagram, on the other hand, generally speaking of course, will often have you comparing your life to others because it's showing you mostly the highlights. And you may sometimes get off and be like, why is this person seemingly doing so much better than me?
Why did it all turn out like this for me?
Of course, once again, it can differ, and this is not like a hard rule that's set in stone, and I also do get a lot of value from Instagram too, but this is just like an observation that I've noticed. Does anyone else out there feel the same way? And then you also have Twitter, which I found is great for sports content and great for sports news. But aside from that, it can get very stressful on there, because a lot of times it's basically a cesspool of arguments or self-righteous people telling others this is how like you have to live your life. Once again, there is value in all these apps, but I'm just saying with some of these apps, you may have to search and sift a little bit harder to find that good positive value, as well as do some more dodging and avoiding.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
To actually reach the good stuff. And branching off of this topic a little bit, I wanted to reference a tweet that I saw the other day that talks about balancing technology with nature, which actually stemmed from one of these self-righteous, I'm better than you posts on Twitter, because once again, when it comes to Twitter especially, I often find myself needing more nuance and having to add nuance in order to make a lot of these tweets more for my liking and more for my sanity.
Serenity now, insanity later.
So the post initially said, the world is about to split into two. One, people sucked into the technological matrix, AI, VR porn, casual sex, news, fake boobs, vapes, seed oils, and Beyond Meat. Or two, people going all in on the real world, returning to tradition, land, farms, cows, steak, religion, family, nature, books, butter, milk, sunlight, land, community, self-sufficiency, breast milk. Which way will you go? Now look, as I'm always saying, nothing is black or white, so like it doesn't have to be all one way or all the other way, and a great response I saw to this tweet said, true power is found in balance between the two as they compensate each other. Technology and the real world don't need to be in contrast, instead they can even encourage each other and improve their mutual conditions. Very well said, and I actually fully agree with that, because, as I'm always saying, you don't have to choose between all one way or all the other way, and anyone who tells you that is actually lying to you, and it's probably saying that just to get more clicks. So, very well said, find the nuance. Don't fall into these false binaries where either you use technology all the time or you never use it. Not true. Now moving along to the whole cesspool of nonsense and self-righteousness that sometimes overtakes Twitter, I want to talk about a horrible take that I saw the other day, coming from someone who I actually generally like and agree with a lot of times, and who I listen to a fair amount, Jason Whitlock. He's generally a super smart guy, but every so often he says some stupid stuff in my opinion, or has a really bad take, and maybe it's just for the sake of stirring up controversy, or to anger people, so this way he gets more hate watchers and more attention. So he tweeted out responding to a tweet that said, so the initial tweet said, single people are selfish and are not a net positive on society. He responded with, fact check true.
What?
How could you possibly generalize a whole group of people like that? And this is exactly what someone like him claims to be against. His whole brand has been based on this concept of how wrong it is to generalize all white people or all black people and say that everyone thinks the same way, everyone does the same things, and how we need to treat everyone as individuals. But isn't that the exact opposite of what he's doing here? And I'm not saying this because I'm currently single right now, because yes, I would hopefully love to have a kid and get married to the right girl at some point, if and when the time is right, and if it's meant to be for me. But I'm also currently very happy with where I'm at in my life, and I'm currently happily single, working on myself, but once again, if and when the time is right, hopefully I'll be ready for a relationship too. But since I'm not there yet, does this make me selfish? Does this mean I'm not worthy of love and I'm not worthy of God's love? No, that's absolutely ridiculous. You have no idea how many people I've helped and made a positive impact on, and this ties perfectly into the clip I made last week.
And I meditated and the answer came through, I am worthy of God's love, simply because I exist. And if I'm worthy of God's love, shouldn't I also be worthy of my own?
Where the guy was saying if I'm not capable of being the best son, best father, husband, athlete, worker, or whatever identity you've made your whole life around, I am still worthy of God's love, and am therefore worthy of my own love too. Waiting for external validation or some event that's beyond your control to an extent will never leave you fulfilled, and that will actually leave you a worse off version of yourself and someone who can help others. So even if you or I never get married, never have a kid, never find the right girl for me, while I do hope that those things do happen, if and when they're meant to, but even if not, I can still impact people, I can make a change, I can change lives, and I'm still worthy of love.
You are enough like you are, and that's why God created you.
So this is a really bad message and a harmful one in my opinion. And it's I'm not just gonna force it just because someone online told me to. I'm not just gonna get married and have a kid with the very next girl I see. And look, you're entitled to whatever beliefs you want, but it's I know I'm doing great right now, and I'm doing all these great things. So there's no reason for me to be comparing myself to someone out there who's doing something totally different from me or is on a different path or a different timeline. Everyone has their own story or their own reasons for living the way they do, and as long as that person isn't harming anyone, then it's not your place and it's not your business to be judging someone. There's plenty of happy and fulfilled single people out there, just how there are married people out there. A person is who they are at their core, and how they treat others and themselves, not based on what they're doing. Your value as a person doesn't just suddenly change based on whether or not you have a kid, or based on whether or not you get married. If you're a bad guy, and if you're a selfish guy, that doesn't just suddenly change. You can be married and be selfish, or you can be single and be selfish. Or you can be either and be selfless. The depression often comes from comparing ourselves to others, and we all have different paths. And sometimes things happen at different times for us, but don't just do something just because this person online told you to, or this person says you should be doing that. And I'm just Jason, if you want more people to follow your biblical principles and to be compelled to believe in your whole worldview, stop driving more people away or doing more excluding. And it's this is sometimes my issue with the whole conservative side. I want to buy what you're selling, but when you make a statement like this, I see you as just as bad and just as judgmental as the other side. And you don't want true freedom, you just want everyone to live the same way you do. Furthermore, another topic I want to hammer home is that telling the truth doesn't give you the right to be a jerk or an a-hole. It's sometimes I see these people who say things oh, all these people hate me because I'm telling the truth.
The truth.
And the truth isn't always popular. And yes, that is a possibility. That's happened to me before when it comes to certain topics. But then there's also the possibility then maybe you're hated because you're being an a-hole or you're being a jerk to people. So maybe, just maybe, people aren't resonating with that message. Some people out there get so caught up in speaking the truth, or what they claim to be the ultimate truth, and therefore I can say whatever I want. But there is also a right way to do it. I wouldn't just go up to a fat person and say to them, oh, you have to lose weight.
Sorry is when you say, hey, when's the baby due? And it turns out the person is just fat.
Because doing that would make me a jerk and would make me a judgmental person who has no right to act that way. I don't know that person's story, and it's not my place to tell that person how he or she should be living their life. Same thing here. If I say like that I believe X, Y, and Z, this doesn't give me the right, or at least doesn't make it the best way to then say to everyone who disagrees with me that anyone who believes differently is a moron who's going to hell.
No, you go to hell. While you're there, why don't you grab me a juice box?
Tact is a very important skill, I believe, and some of these so-called truth speakers lack this. But then we'll say like everyone hates them because they're speaking truth, or sometimes they'll be like everyone hates what I'm saying, so therefore I must be saying the truth, which is another faulty way of thinking and also logical fallacy. Maybe if people don't like what you're saying, and maybe it's also not the truth. Next topic I'm going to get into, which is more on the lighter side of things, is the torpedo bats in baseball, where like just so happens like my favorite team, the Yankees, have been using these.
Buster, why don't you begin the conversation about the torpedo bat?
Yeah, so of course, because this is the first time fans are hearing about it, thought process is this just started the last couple days. That's not true. The Yankees actually have been taking to their players in recent seasons specific information about where they're making contact on the bat and making recommendations. Hey, this is a style of bat that might work best for you. Anthony Volpe, for example, he makes contact closer to the handle. So some of the Yankee players have been responding to this. And after what happened yesterday, the Braves put in an order for some of these bats. Drake Baldwin actually told me that he used one of these in the Arizona Fall League last year. He said, it looks weird, but if the Yankees are going to keep hitting like that, everyone's going to want to do it.
Now I can see why another team out there might get upset, especially when you get 9 home runs hit against you, but this is within the current rules. So this is like the same thing as the whole tush push in football. You can hate it all you want, but until the rules change, it's not cheating. Now I can also see a reason for debate, because does this give certain teams an unfair advantage? Possibly. But then the question becomes, how much policing of the game is too much? I could agree with getting rid of PEDs, even though I'm sure like most players, or at least a lot of players, probably still use them. But of course that's a bad look for any of these leagues. However, when a team comes up with a new strategy or a novel concept that's like perfectly within the rules and is actually using the rules to your advantage, it's hard to say like what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed. Or another question then becomes, is there a new rule that could be implemented to counter these things and counter these unfair advantages without needing to fully eliminate them?
We lawyers call that a counter-offer.
Let me know your thoughts on this topic below. Next, I want to share a powerful clip coming from the Mind the Game podcast, the first episode of Season 2, with Steve Nash, my all-time favorite basketball player, whom I actually had the pleasure of meeting back in 2015, shortly after getting out of the hospital for my whole life-threatening illness. And to be honest, he could not have been any nicer. He asked how I was doing, he asked how I was feeling, and also LeBron James, another one of my all-time favorite players, at least from an on-the-court and knowledge in the way he plays the game perspective.
I've always loved the players that breathe so much confidence into his teammates that make them believe that they're actually better than what the fuck they really are.
Yes.
You did that. Luka has done that for 7 years. I've been able to do that with a few of my teams. I mean, I don't go to the NBA Finals in 2006 with that team if I'm not able
100%.
to make them believe that they're greater than what they are.
Yeah, it's a great point because I think people understand you make your teammates better, but making them believe is a whole other thing because you can spray the ball around the gym and make people better.
Right.
But to give them that belief that like, no, what I do is important and valued and gonna help our team win, like that's a different thing.
And it makes them, ultimately, they would do anything for you. They run through a wall for you. I mean, we saw it, unfortunately, one of your teammates gets suspended in the postseason.
Right.
You know, when you get chucked to the scores table.
Yeah.
But that's because you've given them so much confidence and so much belief. You fucking touch Steve, like I feel like you're going after me.
We built that bond.
Yep.
So they were saying how one key as a teammate, but even like as a person, as I would extrapolate, is when you can believe in your teammates so much that like you actually get them believing in themselves and playing above their natural levels. And furthermore, you actually get them ready to go to war for you. It's like, as LeBron said, Steve had a teammate who got thrown out for defending him after Steve got hit during a playoff game. And this, I believe, is also the best way to build a strong inner circle in your personal lives as well. You treat others with respect, you believe in them like so much like they start feeling really good, and believe in themselves too, and then you end up with these soldiers who will go to bat or will go to war for you whenever you need them. Powerful stuff, your inner circle matters a whole lot, choose wisely. Next up and finally in this episode, we have Will Smith. So 20 years after his last album, he dropped a new album last week. Now maybe I'm in the minority here, because I actually thought the album was great. Whether you like him, hate him, think he's just like another member of Hollywood, or whatever he might be, I've always been like a huge fan of all of his motivational speeches and his powerful life wisdom. Now once again, as I always say when it comes to any of these Hollywood people who I reference, I don't know them personally, so I'm not sure like how they really are, or what's going on behind closed doors, but I do tend to like the persona of Will Smith, as well as Will Smith the actor, and I do find him to be very talented.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, I ain't too short, I ain't too tall, damn if I don't have it all.
And also to be clear, I'm not even sure why he still gets all this hate for the whole Oscar slap, which I thought may have been staged, I don't know, but even if it wasn't, people act like the slap was like the worst thing ever. To me, it just like feels like a lot of fake outrage, but I don't know like how that could be the most unforgivable thing when so many others out there have done like way worse. But okay, anyways, in addition to liking the album, I have some really great clips I want to share. One that talks about the song Beautiful Scars, and another from a podcast he was on this past week. So let's watch together.
Episode 7, Beautiful Scars.
Action.
I saw a Japanese art form called kintsugi. And basically what they do is like, let's say you break a dish. And we're under normal circumstances, you drop this dish, you broke it, you throw it away. But the art of kintsugi is they take the broken dish and they repair it with gold. So what could have been a normal regular dish gets put back together with a gold bond. So now you get this spectacular, new, beautiful, one-of-a-kind dish that is better and even more beautiful than the perfect one that was broken. I think it's like a spiritual law that applies to a human heart, that you take the pieces and you put it back together with the gold of your resilience and endurance and your spirit, and through the breaking, your heart becomes more beautiful than it was before.
So I actually have a chapter in my book that talks about this concept of how when something breaks in your life, you essentially have 3 options. You can either try to put it back together exactly the way it was, you can let it fall apart and throw it away completely, discarding it and getting it out of your life, or you could actually choose to build it back up stronger than ever before. And the same message goes for our lives and for our hearts. Whenever bad things happen to us, or we have flaws or imperfections, this doesn't have to be seen as these horrible things. And as Will just said, you can actually choose to build back stronger and build back better than ever before. So very well said, very powerful song. So the song Beautiful Scars was one of my favorite songs, as was my other favorites were Bulletproof and Work of Art, because all the songs have to do with the concept of being flawed, but using those flaws and not seeing them as the end, but actually seeing them as reasons to build back stronger and better than ever before. Now the final clip in this week's episode I want to share was from when Will Smith went on a podcast this past week.
There's a road to every place on this earth. You can become anything that is available on this earth. And it's like the pathway it's your mind. It's like, you absolutely have to educate your mind, and the recognition that the only limits are your thoughts. If you think you're in a fucked up situation and you'll never get out, you're gonna make that true.
So, as corny as it sounds, your thoughts and your perceptions on your life will ultimately become your reality. The words you speak, the people you hang around, what you tell yourself, it all matters. So, the path to getting to the life that you want starts with your intentions and starts with your words. So, if you could put yourself in an environment that's going to direct your thoughts to big goals and big dreams coming true, that's going to become your reality. You have to align your words and align your thoughts with exactly what you want, speak into existence, and then before you know it, It's all gonna align, it's all gonna come together exactly the way you wanted, or maybe even better. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your favorite topic, let me know your thoughts on the topics I spoke about. I will catch you guys next time. Buy the shirts, buy the book. Catch you next time. Peace.